if one of my kids, if they see something on TV or if they see something on social media, an athlete who had a not so sportsmanship like moment, right?
Yeah.
I always tell them this little phrase: grace and mercy first. They're like, Coach, what do you mean by that? Grace and mercy. We take LeBron James. We take Serena Williams.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited. My name is Linda Mitchell, and I'm excited to have some wonderful experts. I'm going to call them experts. They coach children in various sports. And what we're going to talk about today is how you coach children to be good sports when they're playing sports. What is good sportsmanship in children? And so we're going to talk about that. And I'd like to start out with you all having you introduce yourselves to our viewers. And let's start with you, Kareen. Tell us where you are and what kind of coaching do you do?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kareen. I am presently in Brooklyn, New York. I am from the small Caribbean island of Dominica, so my accent is kind of in between, but that's okay. I am a soccer coach. I coach college soccer as well, and I also have a youth program that I teach also. I am a certified soccer coach. I am a certified U.S. referee as well, so that's something I try to educate myself on, so I'll have a better knowledge of the game. So when I approach the kids, we have a better understanding of what to do and what's not to do.
All right, thank you, Kareen. What about you, Nick? Tell us who you are, where you are, and what's your background with coaching kids?
Sure. My name is Nick Coppola. Currently in Rhode Island, but I'm also from New York, from Long Island. I'm up here currently in school, but I coach with Beat the Streets Providence, which is a subdivision of Beat the Streets National, a nonprofit organization that funds school districts in inner cities to have wrestling programs. So I coach at I coach at a middle school, Nathaniel Green Middle School in Providence. I also coach with our club program that we have here in Providence. Coach kids anywhere from the ages of 5 to 18, preparing them for whatever is to take on next.
Soccer with you, Kareen, and then Nick, we've got wrestling with you. Hi, Michael, welcome. Tell us where you are, who you are, and what kind of coaching do you do for kids?
I'm in Houston, Texas, and I'm just a small town guy, a big old, helping these kids. And so I have a football, basketball, track, baseball, and now I'm coaching them in behavior.
Oh, wow, that's a range. Football, that's a lot. Very good. Well, thank you all for joining me today. I imagine that in the spring, kids are really going to get more active with their sports. Tell me about how are you going to coach your kids to be good sports? We've seen athletes shake hands with the opposing team. Is that something that you coach your kids to do, whether they win or lose?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something that we teach, that we encourage. When you wrestle, you have to shake hands before and after each match with your opponent. And then at the end of the match, you have to shake hands with the entire team. That's from youth, high school, college, national, international wrestling, any level that you go. You'll see that. I feel like when coaching sportsmanship, it starts in the practice room. It starts from your relationship with them, the relationship between your student athletes and other student athletes. And it really starts with the climate and the mood of your team within. And that will foster off into different things. But that is definitely where I started. And I try to emphasize that as much as we can before we even get into competition.
So I want to go back to what you said in the practice room. So you're saying before the big game, even while you all are practicing, you're shaking hands with your opponents?
Yep. Every time before we do what we call a live go, when you're going to wrestle until completion, whether by points or by pin, we have them shake hands. Definitely fostering sportsmanship. We also encourage, when you beat somebody, when they get beat, I've seen it numerous times without even saying it, kids showing their opponent the move that they used to pin them, or somebody being beaten and then being like, wow, wait, that was really cool. Can you show me how to do that? And just that positive relationship that you have where it's not, you know, win, win, win all the time. It's get better, progress, and move forward. That's the kind of mindset that I would rather have my kids have than we have to win, we have to win, we have to win. We're here to get better, and every step that we take towards that makes you a better wrestler and in turn a better young man or woman.
Okay. What about you, Kareen? Do you coach your athletes to shake hands?
Yeah, it's something that's mandatory that you do. I think once you, in the beginning, before a game, it makes the players know that we're all humans. And there's always going to be a winning side and a losing side. But at the end of the day, we are still one, you know, and it's sometimes the shaking hands make them know that, you know, it's not that I'm better than you. It's like we're on the same level. You know, I have witnessed players that shook hands in the beginning of a game and in the end of the game because they lost. You know, they refuse to shake the opponent's hand, and I have to stand here and watch my team, you know, be disrespected, you know, and I would be like, hey, you can't do that. You know, and I would have walked up to the other coach and be like, we are humans at the end of the day, you know, and it's not competitive for financial reason. It's the game is for enjoyment, you know, it's for upliftment, you know, so you need to let your players know that at the end of the day, you know, we all are human beings. So I think it's mandatory and appropriate that after a game, in given whatever situation, they should shake one another's hands, because I mean, that's all it is. I see it as just a game to have fun, you know, to uplift yourself, you know, and to just enjoy one another's company, you know. Everything else, that once the game is over, it's over. There is nothing else that could be done. The referee's decision is final, you know, and you move on your merry way, and we never know who we're going to cross path with. What if you shake, and I always let them know that if you don't shake this opponent hand, how you don't know the opponent hand you don't shake is that's going to be your boss. You might end up marrying that person.
Or your teammate in the future, maybe.
Or your teammate in the future, you know? So that's something that I'm like, we have to maintain that level of, you know, of respect and humanity. You know, this is what we look out. You know, on the field, you represent everyone. You know, you don't just represent yourself. So, you know, you shake someone's hand in the beginning, that means you acknowledge their presence. And at the end of the game, you shake their hands again to acknowledge that you had a very good time and you still respect them no matter what the outcome of the game was. So shaking hands is very important.
But Michael, what happens if your team has just lost terribly? And everybody's angry and they just, I don't want to shake their hand. How do you get them through that?
That's a good question, because as coaches, we have to realize the moment and we have to realize the context. And at this level, sports, they're young, they're still growing, they're still grooming, they're still maturing. So I've been in situations where we've held our handshake for about a few minutes, you know, we let everybody catch their breath and let everybody reset. And then we went into the process of shaking hands. Hey, how you doing? Because again, it's up to us to realize this, that these kids, they've just come off of the court, the field, the wrestling mat, and they've been in a competitive mind state. And then we want them to go from a competitive mind state now to a mind state of, well, I lost, and now I have to go and see the person that just beat me. You know, and so there's a lot of emotions that goes in.
Yeah.
So as coaches, I think it's real good to stay in the moment and realize, you know, our kids are, you know, they're upset that they're lost, or they're maybe feeling something else, you know, that can contribute to that loss. I say it's real important to make sure that, you know your players, you know the environment, you know, where you're at, because those things can come into a play and they can cause a kid that who barely speaks to possibly do something that you've never seen. He may regret because he's caught up in that moment, and he's feeling all these emotions at one time. So we have to be mindful of those things.
I know some famous coaches have said winning is everything. How do you feel about that, Michael? Is winning everything?
I look at it, I think it's learning how to win and learning how not to lose are important when you're talking about the winning part and the losing part, because I can win, but what am I learning? What am I learning as I'm winning? I lost, but what is it? What is it for me? What does it mean to lose? Have an undefeated record. 1 year, the next year we'll come back. We only lose one game. I'll make it to the dance. But what did I learn when I lost that game? What did I learn when I'm winning? So if the learning isn't beneficial to the winning, then is the winning even beneficial?
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Nick?
I absolutely agree. Going back to what I said before, we're always trying to learn, always trying to get better. And I feel like from losing, I've seen athletes learn a lot more than going through and winning, especially in an undefeated season. If I have a student athlete going into the postseason undefeated, I feel somewhat an unsettling feeling. They haven't been challenged to the point where they lose and they have to self-reflect. And I feel like that self-reflection really comes from losing, from being challenged to that point, whether I can persevere physically and mentally from a loss that I've taken throughout the year.
Okay. Okay. I see.
And I think it was Vince Lombardi who said, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Yeah. Okay. I had it wrong. I think something like that. I know there's a lot of coaches and they have a lot of good sayings. Yogi Bear's got all his sayings. It's not over till it's over. And somebody said, we didn't lose the game. It's just that the clock
run out.
Who said that? Somebody said the clock ran out. So many good lessons and statements from sports. Our kids are looking at the adults.
Yeah.
And sometimes, they haven't seen the best sportsmanship. Mm-hmm. They've seen chairs thrown. They've seen, them not shake hands. And you all have a tough job because you've got to counter that. Mm-hmm. You've got to counter what sometimes they see in pro sports. And that's hard. Anybody want to speak about that? How you don't do what they do what I
I had this experience. I was refereeing some I think it was U9 or U10 soccer game, and this little boy, he was like, he came with the mindset that I'm gonna win, or I want to be the star of the game. I don't care what I had to do. And he was so physical to the other players, and I'm in the middle and I'm a coach as well, so my instinct is like, calm him down and be like, hey, you can be playing your opponent in that manner. You guys are the same age. It's just a game. Calm yourself down. And this little boy he's look at me, gave me the eye. He gave me the eye, and I'm like, calm down. You're just a ref for this game. And I'm like, calm down. You don't need to play so physical. I say, you're going to hurt the young man. And I'm like, and I'm speaking to him nice and calm as the ref, and his mom is on the sideline. Oh, get this ref out of here. Get this ref out of here. She's crazy.
Get out of here.
Telling me, and they're snapping pictures because I'm like, I'm a coach and I'm a mom first. So I'm looking out for the best interest of these kids. They have the studs underneath their shoes and, any contact. It's in the hospital. Yeah, so it was a deadly, dangerous play. So I am in the middle and I'm like, calm down. You could play and you could win. You could achieve what you want to achieve. But the manner you're doing it, it's not right. And I am speaking to him nice and calm, but his mom is on the sideline. His parents is on the sideline and he's like, go get him, Jake. Go get him, Jake. And I'm like, what is the purpose? you know. So it can be it could be very tough, and it's a very coaching is very challenging if you really don't know, you know, what you're doing and how to interact with the kids especially. And sometimes I go for the same thing as a college coach, you know, because I also see them as kids,
No.
you know, because most of them they're below 21, so I still have to nurture them. And some of them didn't start playing soccer until they get to the college level, so they're still training and they want to be part of something. So I still have to instill in them, you know, the basics. So it's really a tough job. It's tough, you know, but I think once you have an understanding with the players, you know, I think it gets better.
And Michael, you're in that the field of teaching behavior. You're talking
Yes,
about
ma'am.
so what happens when the child sees a different behavior from what you're trying to teach them. You know what I mean, like in professional, and they don't see good behavior.
It's a teaching moment, and and the reason why it's a teaching moment is because I tell my kids this. I understand what you go through as an athlete, as a high school athlete.
Okay,
You know,
say that again. You broke up. You broke up. Say that again.
I don't know. All right, it's the referees. The referees, they're trying to take me. All right. So back to what so if one of my kids, if they see something on TV or if they see something on social media, you know, an athlete who had a not so sportsmanship like moment, right?
Yeah.
You know, I always tell them this little phrase: grace and mercy first. They're like, Coach, what do you mean by that? Grace and mercy. We take LeBron James, we take Serena Williams, you know, we take someone on that magnitude, and you know, we see them for 48 minutes on the court doing their thing, but 24 hours on top of 24 hours, they are immersed inside this world of competitiveness. I gotta be the best. I gotta push forward. I gotta gain that extra inch. So mentally, they're programmed like to, in a better way, say they're programmed to go hard. You know, they're programmed to go hard. And sometimes when they do that, they have a lapse in judgment.
Oh.
I didn't handle that right because I'm in a competitive environment anyway.
Okay.
Playing this game, and so my mindset has to match, you know, my environment. And so I may do something out of my character, but you know, allow them grace and mercy because you know they're operating on a totally different right now. My sense is heightened. You know, it's fourth quarter. We're down by 3. You know, I gotta make this shot. And I tell them, I bring the kids back. I say, hey, grace and mercy. Just remember, hey, they had a lapse in judgment. You know, I mean, let's grant them some mercy because you know when you train hard, you're out there, you're going hard. You know, you're focused on the goal, and sometimes you know we have a lapse in judgment on the court, on the field, on
That's
the
a
mat.
good point. See,
But-
brother, preach it.
So after that happens, we'll come back and we'll say, you know what, you know, how could this have been avoided? You know, and so now they're telling me what they've learned, and hopefully it'll be something that they do when they're out on the court. I have in basketball, coaching basketball, you know, you get more timeouts than in football. So if I have a kid that something, he may have just gotten fouled really hard. You know, he may have just gotten fouled really hard, and now he's not ready to play basketball anymore. He's headed to the streets. I have no problem with that kid calling timeout. Say, Coach, timeout.
Yeah.
My breath. You know, but if we don't talk about, you know, what goes on in, you know, professional sports and how it relates down to I-9, so these kids can learn, like, oh, I have a timeout. I can use timeout. Or I can talk to the ref in between running up and down the court. Hey, ref, he's bumping me. So now we're giving these kids skills they can use on the court, on the soccer field, on the mat, and they can advocate for themselves. Not just having to say, how many times have we seen this? coach, they pushed me. They pushed me.
Yeah.
You know, and as a coach, I was like, well, push them back. You know, but now we teach them how to advocate. And they'll even communicate with each other like, you know, the other teammates say, listen, hey, man, it's a game. We both going hard, you know, but listen, you don't have, in basketball, it's something they say, you don't have to undercut me. So if I go up for a dunk, I've already made the points. I got the 2 points. You don't have to come under my legs while I'm hurting myself.
Yeah.
So they have those interactions to advocate, to speak on their own behalf. So I think I probably went a little too long with that, but we can learn from our professional athletes, but also too, let's not be so quick to crucify them.
Yeah.
World.
Grace and mercy. Got it. Got it. Anything you'd like to add, Nick?
Just that I totally agree. Addressing it and saying, yes, these people did make a mistake, but realizing how they handle it afterwards is also something that we talk about. You know, are they going to make a statement about their actions in last night's game, or after the game was ended, are they going to put out a statement? Realizing that we're human. You know, somebody, especially like LeBron James, he's going to be in the NBA for 20 years. You know, the guy's not going to have thousands of great games or all perfect moments. And just going back to what Kareen said too, we're all humans here ready to compete. And sometimes that level of competition surpasses a point where it's hard to come back, especially when you want to win so bad, when you are competing for millions of dollars like these professional athletes are. In my experience, I work with students who go to school in the inner city, and we wrestle a lot of schools from affluent areas, students and communities that look very different from my student athletes. And sometimes people aren't very accepting of when we show up places, and they already think, oh, these kids are from the city, they're probably violent, or they're tough, or they don't follow rules.
We've seen movies like that,
Trust me. And one of the number one things that I can say is, if you go out there and you make a bad decision, the only thing that you're going to be doing is proving them right. I know who all of you are. I'm with you every single day. You know who I am. We're a team that's built around respect. We're built around hard work, and we're here to get it done and go home. We're not here to fight with anybody. We're not here to cause any problems. And we're going to come in here like the respectful young men and women that we are, do our business. We're going to get on the road. And it's hard sometimes when, you know, some other schools might have a crowd of 100 people, and we might have 2 or 3 parents. And, you know, it kind of feels like we're being heckled almost. And that for a whole entire match hurts, especially when you're 12-year-old 6th grader, you know, getting heckled by all these parents and all these friends and fans in the stands. And going back again to just having our team come together too, it's great to see what the kids can do when they come together as well.
Well, as we wrap up, I want to know what rewards do you get out of coaching? Just say real briefly, what's it doing for your heart and soul as a coach? I
feel like to help my students and athletes reach their goals, just to be a part of that process and to see it be carried out, see all the work that goes into it, and then at the end of the year, at the end of the season, end of a match, to be like, Coach, I did it. And just be a part of those everlasting memories that they'll hold, and be helping them to get there is the greatest feeling ever.
That's wonderful.
As a coach, I get out, it's not self-satisfaction for me. What I really get out of it is that I bonded with people, you know, with the kids. You know, I made them know that it's not just your family that cares for you. You know, there's somebody out there, you know, who wants to help you achieve, even if you do not want to continue playing the game of soccer, basketball, or whatever it is, but there is always someone there that you could reach out to. I maintain a 24/7 relationship with my student athletes, even after they're long gone. My phone is always open and email is always open. So I always offer myself to them, just knowing that at the end of the day that they are okay. So I just open myself to them. If they can't find work, like my college kids, if they can't find a job, I am here to help. The little ones, if they want something, they could reach out to me. So it's just a matter of just being there for them. That's what I really take out of coaching, just being available. That extra extended family member. That's me.
Yes, I love that.
I like being told an option and an excuse for my kids, and I'll explain. An option is, they may be they may be getting ready to make a bad decision, or they may be in need of something. I'm one more person in their lives that they can seek out and get that help. And piggybacking on what Nick was saying, having coaching kids in the inner city, they face a lot of peer pressure. Especially when they're trying to do right, go to school, participate. So my kids, they can use me as an excuse. If they ever presented with some peer pressure or something, they can say, man, I really would, but man, Coach Clark, he can kill me, man. If it wasn't for Coach Clark, and then, and sometimes, I'm in the hallway and I'm putting that, that mean look, so I can kind of coincide with this story, but I do all the time. I say, Coach Clark gonna kill you if you do it. And that's that. So I love being an excuse for them just to leave.
Well, this is so wonderful because you all are examples of being good sports in your own lives as coaches, and the kids are learning from you how to have great attitudes. And I thank you so much for joining me on this conversation today about the kids being in sports and being competitive, and how should they act when they win or lose. So I thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching a wonderful interview with a panel of expert coaches. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.